Welcome in. This is my second live that I've done. I did one when I first launched last year, and I haven't done one since. So, but it's been a year. I watched recently a video of a couple people I follow, but one in particular, and he suggested doing a YouTube live just for interaction, for watch time, and things like that. So I thought, why not try it again? I tried it last year. I was a little bit discouraged because I wasn't sure if anybody was even watching, to be honest with you. So I one of them is available, but yeah, I didn't have anybody joining on, so I wasn't sure if I should even continue recording, and I think I just deleted it after that point. But if you're new to the channel, if you're one of my subscribers, great to see you. My name's Josh, living life alcohol free, and this is my channel. It's pretty much all things sobriety. It includes things that we can do that are outside of drinking, things that we can do that are healthier for us than actually drinking alcohol. It's for people that are sober curious, people that are wondering what they can do besides drinking. Because if you drank like I did, you that was your life basically. I mean, if you have a life, that's great. But if you are drinking and you're stuck in your addiction, basically that is number one. Getting drunk or getting buzzed or drinking, having that next beer is the ultimate goal of your day. And we want to get away from that, right? We want to figure out, first we have to get over the fear. So when I posted my thumbnail here, I put on there, hey Briggs, I put on there what life is hard already, right? Quitting is hard. Quitting drinking isn't easy, it's hard. But continuing on with drinking is also hard too. It's hard either way. So why not try something different? And so that's the whole thing. And in fact, continuing on drinking is harder, because if you continue drinking like the way that I did, which is just one after another, you find out eventually that addiction is difficult, and quitting drinking is also, it's scary. It's easy to be scared and easy to be fearful, because in addiction we already are afraid, right? We're living with fear every single day, and the drinking makes that anxiety worse. It makes everything that we're worried about 10 times scarier. And that's really where I ended up going with this. And in my addiction, I mean, I drank for 27 years. So I sorry, I gotta figure out what's going on here. But drinking for that long and wanting so bad to see a different way of life was complicated for me. It was hard to imagine a life without alcohol. When I was younger, I basically was doing it for fun. When you start drinking, you're doing it as a fun way to unwind, unleash, just those tense feelings, those intense feelings of being in your teenage years. And you get together with your friends on the weekend. You get alcohol, you go to parties, and everything that you do revolves around getting alcohol, drinking it, and just, getting through the week of school, and then finally, just unleashing. And that starts out um, pretty innocently, right? I mean, it's an innocent thing, and but the more this goes on, the more you start to realize that uh, you want it more and more, because the escape feels good. The release of drinking feels good, and so that's when the trouble really starts, because then you start looking for it over and over again. You start looking for it during the week. You start looking for it during times you should be doing other things, like working on your schoolwork, or working if you have a job. And it starts to become just what you crave. And even if you have like relationships, friends, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever, once the addiction starts to take over, and you start to recognize that the alcohol is what's most important, or marijuana, or whatever it is that you're using, um, that's really when you can start to tell that, hey, you're losing your grasp on life. And so I knew early on, like I said, I started drinking young. So I was 15 when I turned to alcohol, and I started to just, it was an instant relief. I started to feel like I finally found something that was going to help me cope with life, something that was going to take the edge off. My parents got divorced when I was 14, and I really didn't think it played that big of a role on my life, because I felt like they should be divorced at that point. My dad had a temper. They both didn't get along very well, and it really was just like, yeah, you shouldn't be together. And I felt like it was going to be better for me to not witness the fighting, and hear the fighting, and that kind of thing, and not to have to deal with my dad as much anymore, because ultimately I lived with my mom, and then he moved away, and I only saw him every couple weeks on the weekends, and I didn't have to deal so much with his anxiety and his anger, because his anger caused me a lot of anxiety. Um, Not to say it was all his fault. It wasn't. A lot of things that I was anxious about revolved around um, friendships, around school, around grades, around um, just trying to find my way. I struggled in high school with math. I struggled with um, all kinds of subjects, really, for that matter. I mean, if it wasn't if it wasn't gym, or something that had to do with sports, I pretty much struggled with it. Um, and that made me feel self-conscious. It made me feel like I wasn't, you know, up to par. I wasn't up to the standards of what I should be. And that caused me a lot of problems. I felt like, most everybody was more was smarter. I looked at everybody like, man, how are they getting these good grades? And I'm comparing myself to them, but how are they all getting good grades, and I'm still left behind getting these terrible grades? Well, part of that was low work ethic. A friend of mine once told me, it was my best friend actually, told me, he told somebody that I had a low work ethic. And I was like, man, did you say that? He said, yeah, I said that. I was like, man, that hurts. I was like, what do you mean by that? He just said, you give kind of a minimum effort. and that was just in general with schoolwork, with work, with whatever I was doing. But when I couldn't disagree with him. I mean, I was like, well, I mean, I try hard. What do you mean I don't try hard? But when I really was honest with myself, and isn't that true? We need people in our lives to call us out on those things. It sucks to hear it sometimes, the honest truth. It, especially when it's coming from someone that we care about. But who knows us better than the people that we are friends with, our friends and our family, who they know us best. So we should take their word for it, or at least introspect and look and see, like, ask honestly, is this causing us a problem? Is this causing me a problem? To, in this case, not try hard. And I mean, I'm not going to say that I was handed a lot of things as a kid, but I had, a lot of things like my parents would do for me or give to me, and I didn't have to work for it. I didn't have to do a lot of work to get that stuff. So yeah, maybe I did get used to that a little bit, um, but for the most part, I mean, I tried hard on things that I wanted to try hard on. I didn't really, if it wasn't interesting to me, then I didn't try hard on it. Um, so the drinking just made it feel like I didn't have to worry about that anymore. Like I could try, I could not try, I could fail, I could pass, I could lose relationships, I could wish I was friends with these people and not have those friendships, and feel lesser than. But then I could also just drink that away, drink that pain away. So I guess fast forward to your 20s and your 30s, and you're carrying over that addiction into your adulthood. And what kind of problems is that causing us? I personally, I got a DUI when I was 19 years old. How's it going, Cyberpunk? Alden, how's it going? Glad to see you guys here. And just talking about our 20s, our 30s, drinking, and what kind of experiences we've had with alcohol. When did we start drinking? And when did we realize it was a problem? When did we realize that we were actually addicted to it? I called my addiction to alcohol a habit for the most part. I enjoyed playing video games. I enjoyed drinking and just watching movies. A lot of the times that I drank, it was by myself. It wasn't around people. That's also when I kind of knew that it was a problem for me. I isolated. I've always been kind of a solitary soul anyway. I mean, I was an only child growing up, and I really just I felt awkward around people a lot. So I really just prefer to just not be with people, just by myself. I knew that wasn't healthy. And in fact, I mean, when I was in high school and stuff, it wasn't as big of a deal. But when I got into my 20s and stuff, and you lose those relationships, those contacts and stuff like that, making friends is harder. And so I just started isolating. And then I would drink to cope with the feelings of loneliness. And then, before you know it, you're just addicted to it. And that's just how it went. So I would usually give up, if I ever gave up alcohol. So after I got the DUI, at 19, and I was 2 months away from my 20th birthday, I had to do a year of Alcoholics Anonymous. I had to go like weekly meetings. I had to have the paper signed. I had to go to like a weekend retreat for one weekend. Of course, pay a lot of fines. Um, I think it was probably around 2 or 3 thousand that I ended up paying out of pocket for all of it. Which, if that happened today, of course, it would have been $10,000. I mean, it's a cash grab in my opinion now. Once you get into that system, the legal system now, and get a DUI, I mean, it's like I've heard upwards of 10 grand. So I guess in some ways I was blessed that I got that when I did in the late 90s. It was 1997. So I paid a few $1,000s, but really the biggest payment was the weekly AA meetings. And actually I had the option of going to AA or NA, which NA is Narcotics Anonymous. I found a group that I liked, and it was interesting hearing more than just alcohol stories, hearing drug stories as well. So I ended up going to that weekly, and then I went away to college. So I got into college, and I finished my last like month or so of doing those meetings at college. And but yeah, that was an experience. I was coming back from Canada. I was 19. It was probably my 10th or 20th time to Canada as a 19-year-old. It's legal to drink there. And it was easy to get back and forth over the bridge there in Michigan and Detroit. Really, just you could get across without answering too many questions. Really, what are you doing here? We're going to eat and go to a couple restaurants or shopping or whatever, and they just say okay, and then come back. Same thing, getting back into the United States. So I ended up. We came back. I got pulled over about a mile from my house, and which was like 45 minutes away. So I almost had made it home. It was like 3 a.m. It was. I knew that I had a headlight out when it was on low beams, so I had my high beams on the entire ride home. But I got up to the stoplight. I saw a police officer cross by. I was like, man. So I just out of pure panic, I turned. I went to the next neighborhood over, pulled into a driveway, turned my lights off, and it was maybe like 5 seconds later the cop pulled around, turned on his lights, and he got me. And I looked over at my friend who had like one lens out of his glasses missing that broke out. And I can laugh about it now, but yeah, I mean I couldn't even pass a sobriety test. And he parked my car across the street at the elementary school, took me to the jail, and yeah, I spent the night in there, and that was just a humbling experience. Something that, man, I knew I never wanted to experience again. And by the grace of God, and by learning from that mistake, I didn't get another one. I mean, I was lucky, because there were a few times in my 20s and 30s that I might have gotten behind the wheel when I shouldn't have, but nothing happened. But yeah, I didn't think about quitting very often. For the most part, I just was like, forget about it. Hey, Slick 23, thank you, and it's good to see you. And yeah, when I in my 20s and 30s, every time I would think about quitting, it wasn't because I really wanted to be quitting. It was because I was hungover one day really bad, and so bad that like I just swore alcohol off for a couple days. Then a couple days might turn into 3 or 4, or 5. If it was really bad, I might go like a week without alcohol. Like 7 days was typically the longest I would go. And that, I mean, that went on pretty much all of my 20s and 30s. And then I got to my 40s, and I was like, man, I wasn't, I was handling my drinking better in my 30s because I wasn't drinking quite as much, but I was drinking more frequently. So in my 20s, I might have a binge drink every other night, every 3 nights, and just have a ton. And in my 30s, it was more like I was having like half that amount, but every day or every night. And so the hangovers weren't as bad. I was able to manage them a little bit better. It wasn't very and I was able to recognize what I could drink and get away with, and how much I could drink and get away with, and not feel sick the next day. Because I mean, I was working consistently in my 30s, and I had to be at my work, and I had to perform well, and I couldn't do that if I was drinking too much, or especially like mixing alcohols. You know, if you're mixing hard liquor or wine and beer, mixing all those things never did me justice. And I knew that if I mixed, I was going to pay the price. So there were a few mornings I remember in my 30s where it was like, man, I overdid it, or I mixed too much and I was nauseous. And just having your boss sit by you or something like that and wondering, can she smell this? It causes you anxiety. And then some people might comment and say, like, I smell something. And it makes you self-conscious, like they might say it smells like alcohol. And you're like, man, is that coming from me? I mean, I drank last night. Is it possible that it's still in my system? And the answer is, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's what you're sweating it out of your pores. And honestly, when I started getting to my upper 30s and early 40s, I started to feel like I was like not processing the alcohol very well. It felt like I kind of described it as like a melting feeling, and I think it was just melting, like it was like sweating, like I could feel the alcohol trying to leave my system, especially the next day. Not so much during like a drinking session, um, but those hangovers got to be more and more uncomfortable, and I struggled with panic and anxiety. Um, I had my first major panic attack when I was 24 years old. I dropped out of college. Not necessarily by choice. I ended up getting a academic suspension because my grades weren't up to par. Um, it was a financial aid suspension, and so I wasn't able to get the financial aid. I wasn't suspended from the school, so if I had the money, I could continue on, but I didn't have the money. So I moved home. I didn't have a job. I was out of school. I didn't get my degree. I didn't have anything going on. I had that DUI when I was 19. I had just so much going on, alcohol related, that um, I just wasn't doing anything with my life, and it was depressing. And I remember drinking like a pot of coffee one day, and that night and the night before, I drank about 10 hard like beers, ice beers, and so I was hungover. I drank a bunch of coffee that day. It was like continuous. And that night, my left arm went numb. I thought I was having a heart attack. I went outside in the driveway, and my arm was still numb, and my heart was racing like 180 beats per minute, and I panicked. I was panicking, and so I I was alone. I didn't know who to call or what to do. So I called 911. They came. They checked me out. It was like 161 was my BPMs. They said, we should probably, or, well, they give you the option. Do you want to go in? Do you want to go to the hospital? And I'm like, yeah, I should probably go to the hospital. So they took me in. It didn't go under 100 for the first few hours that I was there, so they wanted to keep me there overnight. So I ended up staying overnight, and it was still like 100 in the middle of the night, over 100. But eventually, in the morning, it went down under 100. It was still like in the 90s, but I got discharged, and from that point on, I struggled with panic attacks from ages of like 24 to 34, just really bad. And I refused to take antidepressants. I didn't want to take them. Even though I should have tried it at least, but I really just said no. I'd rather drink. So I drank it away. Struggled with um, struggled with indigestion really bad, to the point where I couldn't hold anything down when I was 28. Lost 25 pounds, a bunch of belt sizes. I mean, I was like thinning out, but I continued drinking even though I knew that it was causing me more problems. It could have been actually the problem that was causing it, but anxiety has a way of spinning out of control, and I kind of knew that the alcohol was just a symptom of what was really going on. So I just kept drinking it away, and sometimes I would just not eat and I would drink. And eventually, I was able to get out of that. I got a bunch of testing done over those months. They couldn't find anything. They said it's probably just gastritis. And eventually, I started drinking like apple cider vinegar. And I'm not gonna say that it was the apple cider vinegar that got me better. I really just think it was time, and it was healing. I was healing as time went on, but I was drinking like a little bit of apple cider vinegar every day for like 2 months. And eventually the indigestion cleared up and got better, and I could start eating regularly again, and it felt better. But yeah, that was a tough period of time. But drinking through all that is just not fun, and drinking, a life of being an addict is hard, and I don't recommend it for anybody. I don't condone drinking alcohol at all for anybody. I really just think that it's kind of a gateway to more problems. Not everybody has that addictive personality. I've got several people in my life that can have one drink and be done, and that wasn't me. I was willing to admit that at the end. I mean, I knew that throughout, but I really wasn't, I really wasn't able to hit that on the head and admit that to myself until I was really ready to be done with drinking. So yeah. I plan on going 30 minutes. We're at 29. I wanted to share with you guys. I was making a video for my other YouTube channel at a mall last week, and I got this card, Rules of Conduct, and I was filming. I was walking all the way around. It's a huge mall. It takes about 30 minutes to walk the whole thing. I was at like 28 minutes, so I was almost done. And the security guard came over and he said, "You can't be filming here. What is it, for like a YouTube channel or something?" I said, "Yep, it is." He said, "Okay." So he said, no, we can't film here. In fact, here's this card. So it's got a whole list of stuff that you can and can't do, or well, can't do. Um, and one of them is distribution of literature or items, selling, solicitation of any kind, capturing videos or photos. In each instance, prior written consent from center management is required. So that was the first time I got stopped making videos. Like I said, I've been on here a year. I just started my other channel. It's more of a vlog style, not around drugs and alcohol or alcohol and addiction. Um, it's more just me like going places, going to cities and going shopping at places or whatever, like a vlog style. But anyway, I said thanks for saying something because I wasn't sure. I mean, even a couple times in the video, I said, I'm getting some weird looks from the people that are working in these stores, but until someone says something, I'm just going to keep filming. And yeah, and then I get stopped. So I had a feeling. I sat on that video for a couple days going back and forth. Should I post it or not? And I ultimately decided, no, I'm not going to post it because it's not worth the anxiety. I don't want this mall to see this video and then say like, well, you knew my rules or our rules, you broke it anyway, then you posted it on YouTube, and then deal with that fallout. I mean, I'm not even monetized on YouTube. Eventually I'd like to make this my job, but it's not worth it. I don't feel like it's worth that risk, and I don't feel like it's worth that anxiety. And that's what not drinking has helped me do. Like, make better decisions, not worry so much, accept the decision that I did make, and just and be okay with it, not regret my decisions, and be okay with it. And that's really the best part of being alcohol free, in my opinion. Is How you doing, Redfish? Um, yeah, it's called spirits for a reason, for sure. Um, yeah, it causes a lot of problems in relationships. Um, and that was really the catalyst that got me to quit drinking. Was a fallout, kind of a blow up, I should say, at the beginning of the pandemic. I blew up at one of my daughters, and I told her opinion. No one cares about her opinion, and it wasn't. I didn't say it that nicely either. And then it caused a problem with my wife and me, and then it was just like terrible. And it was at the end of a drinking session all day, and it got to the point where in the morning I apologized to everybody in my family. I said, I think I just want to be done with alcohol. And that's really what it took. It took being done with alcohol, and it took that blow up. It took the pandemic. It took um, watching the cans and bottles accumulate in my garage because I couldn't return them. Here where I live, there's a bottle return, and they were all closed during the beginning of the pandemic. So my bags and the bags and the cans just kept on accumulating. I'm like, man, I can't do this anymore. So I yeah, I ultimately was able to quit. But it was relationships that caused me to really look within and say, I got to be done with alcohol. So yeah. Um, I'm gonna plan on making these lives. Probably try different times of the day, and I'll probably shoot for Wednesday to do another one. Shoot for maybe like 30 minutes each time. Hopefully we can get some more dialogue going, and get some more people on here, and yeah, I'm just learning it. I'm doing it like in a vertical, so hopefully you guys are seeing these on the shorts feed, and And yeah, so I'm glad you guys all came. Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, like and subscribe if you found my videos helpful too. And I hope to see you over at my channel. So have a great day, everybody.